Well, good Tuesday evening to everybody out there. Welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup, and thanks for tuning in, man. I got little hats off, little salutes all the way around the board. We got our Broncos caps all strapped on, some forward, some backwards. We're ready to go, man. Some tie dye, you name it, man. No, guys, we really appreciate you jumping in this evening. Of course, we're presented by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network and sponsored by Willow Seasonings and Blends. We'll get back to that a little bit later. Right now, guys, we got to get into the recap. It's been a week. We've got a preseason game 2 in the books. We've got some performances. I guess we could talk about some injuries. We could talk about the look ahead. We could talk about some pressers. Lots to get to. I want to start off, and I think I'm gonna limit this down just a little bit. I'm going to start off. I'll give Jody, because I always seems like I start off with Albert lately. And I'm sorry, Jody. Jody probably feels like the left out guy. So, first off, welcome in. Say hello to everybody. And then I'll have a question for you. And my question is going to be, who was your top performer in the preseason game 2? You get one top performer. Who was it? Welcome everybody in, Jody. And welcome to the show, Jody.
Welcome, everyone. And I think this is probably going to be an easy one for everyone. Jaleel McClendon, the running back.
McLaughlin?
Or McLaughlin, sorry.
It's okay.
Be easy if I pronounced it right. They spelled his name wrong the first game, so
you got it,
the
buddy.
territory. He just looked. I think he solidified himself as the number 3 running back on this roster.
By the way, Jody is in the middle of a ferocious rainstorm, from what we understand, and is dealing with a little bit of breakup. So he did look fantastic, but I'll let you add to that too. I know they got cut off, buddy.
Yeah, I think he looked really good. One receiving touchdown, one rushing. On the second one, he had just put the brakes on right away and just let that guy go right by him and just walked in. Pulled the chair out right from under him. He solidified himself as the number 3 running back to me. Now I'm not going to go as far as some people I've heard is saying this is like a Terrell Davis. You got to give him the starting running back spot in 95. I'm not going that far yet, but no. He definitely is the change of pace back that we needed. And he had a good return too, which I think that might spell the very end for Montel Washington back there.
There you go, buddy. There you go. Albert, the Dutchie, the Mile High Dutchie, tuning in. We appreciate him every single week. Welcome to the show. Welcome. Say hello to everybody, and then I want your same thing, man. You can choose the same guy. You can choose somebody different. Who was your standout preseason game 2? And by the way, I just want to jump in, if you don't mind, because we got Sis coming in here saying hi to us as well, saying Dutchie Albert Keith, the best right here, and saying it's Sis here. We got your Facebook profile up. We appreciate you letting it through, buddy. And Dutchie Albert Keith, he missed Jody. He threw Jody in there too, man. So Jody, you're included as well, I believe. Either we're the best and you're just along for the ride, or we're all just the best. But I'm going to say we're all the best. I'm going to give it. And then Michelle just coming in and either speaking another language or maybe someone mixed up the keys on her keyboard. But Key Aura, gents. I believe that's probably good evening or something like that. So, but it's good to see you, Michelle. Thank you very much for joining in. Take it away, Albert. Sorry.
Kia ora, it is indeed one of the Polynesian islands. And I say it's a good day or something like that. Hello. Mm-hmm. And in Dutch it would be goedenavond allemaal. And
mouthful.
Say that 5 times fast.
Goedenavond allemaal. Goedenavond
he can
allemaal.
do it. He can do it. It's whether we can do it.
Yeah. So for me, the person of the game was, and maybe it is a little bit cliche, but for me it was Sean Payton, because he did when he was not happy with something, he let people know, even if it was a coach or a trainer in a certain division. So if he is not happy, everybody will get his 5 minute say, and they can do whatever they want to with it. But he lets them know. I think he was not happy with the defense.
Yeah, there was some points out there that looks like him and VJ may not have been particularly on the same page. And the tongue lashing, the tongue lashing came about. He's more than willing to dole it out. I was just rewatching a little bit of a presser from him today, and I love it when he does this. He's like, I think I just answered that. It's like, he pulls no punches. It's like, man, are you really going to make me answer this question twice?
Mm-hmm.
In a press conference when you get limited questions? Okay, here you go. I'll tell you the same thing twice. But he lets you know that it's like, man, no pulling business. If he doesn't play any funny business, he'll let you know exactly what's going on. Kind of like Kenny. By the way, Kenny's let you know what's going on. He says, what better way to spend the end of summer Tuesday night than with my favorite 3 Bronco guys at DVR? Good evening, fellas, and good evening to you, Kenny, over at the K&K Sports Show. Fantastic supporter of us right here on the Denver Bronco Roundup on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Thank you, Kenny, very much. Have any ideas, thoughts, questions? As always, anybody, drop them right in the comments. We'll get to them.
I have a question when you brought up Payton. Why do you think that he is so quick to I know that he worked for the national media, but he is so quick to open up with someone that works for the national media, and he is really hush-hush and like a 180 with local media?
I think, as they said, he has, and a lot of coaches have this, they have a guy. And he talked to his guy, his A guy. You know what I mean? I expect if you get anything deep cut from Sean Payton, and I forget the gentleman's name for the life of me, but that is the guy that he's been reporting through and from. From
USA Today?
From USA Today for such a long time. So, like he said, maybe I had one too many lattes when he said that. Kind of speaks to exactly the relationship that they have. They're sitting down. They're having a couple lattes. They're shooting the breeze. He's in that relaxed atmosphere. That's my thought. Otherwise, I think Sean Payton is very buttoned up.
And I think we have missed that. I know we have missed that. We needed something that would take the leashes and whatever you call those things, take the reins.
Take the reins. Take the leashes.
Take the reins and no more. Keep it PG. No more crap.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, this is a guy who knows what he wants to do, has a plan in his head, and not just because he dreamt of it this summer, but because he's been doing it for years. He's been doing it for over a decade. Heck, if you really look at it, a lot of these guys, whether they've been playing or coaching, how long has Sean Payton been playing and or coaching? It goes back multiple decades that he's brought this knowledge base around on how it should be done, and it's a proven way of how it should be done. So everybody fall in line, and that's the way it goes. No more crap. No more playing around. No more, I think we should play with it and tweak it. No, unless you have a really good idea and it's solid, it's not going to be played with. It's not going to be tweaked with because it's my way, and that's Sean Payton's way. And you're absolutely right. I digress, I guess. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I mean, and I kind of feel like he doesn't really owe an answer to anyone. I mean, he's backed it up with what he's done on the field. So until you see Hackett-like moments,
yeah. Let's hope not. No, I doubt it.
I've always said that they don't owe you or I or anyone really a deep explanation.
That's very true. Good friend over at Mile High Huddle, Luke Patterson, like he said, he's been pretty much part of that media that's been shut out. He says, I'll take it. if it means that we're winning again, if it means that we're better again, just because I don't get to talk about training camp nearly as much, just because I can't report on everything, so be it. I'll take it. Absolutely, 100%. That kind of brings me to this, and I'll start off with Albert since I started with Jody. This game, too, and I don't want to dwell on this game, too, if you guys can bring up some highlights beyond this, but I just have a quick question. Did we win even though we lost game 2?
Absolutely, we won because we could see that our O-line is much better, has improved.
Okay.
And Russell Wilson did a decent, pretty good job, I think. He was quick. I think we saw in Russell Wilson from the Seahawks in his early years with the Seahawks. Oh, nowhere to go. Oh, there's an opening. I'll run it in.
Yeah.
And that is what we have not seen last year. We saw it maybe twice last year, and now we saw it twice or 3 times in one set of plays. So, yeah, I think we have won. We definitely won. Yeah, what happened in the fourth quarter, I don't care. It is for kids that are trying to get on a roster spot, and they're trying to do their best, and it is for both sides. So I really don't care about that one. But, yeah, we definitely won because we saw a Russell Wilson and an offline O-line that has much, much improved.
Keep in mind that those kids that are trying to make the 53 at the end of the fourth quarter, they were also going up against the number 3 pick in the draft in Trey Lance as well. So not a very easy task to accomplish. And I'm going to get to Kenny's question here for you in just a moment, but I want to get over to Jody and just ask him the same question. Did we get a win in this loss? And if so, how did we get that win? Give me 2 or 3 points. It's kind of like Mile High Dutch you did there, buddy.
Yeah, I seen what I needed to see. I seen things from Wilson that we haven't seen in the last 2 years. Willingness to run. For whatever reason, whether he was told or chose not to, he hasn't wanted to run for the last 2 years. I mean, he's the 3rd leading rushing quarterback of all time behind Vic and Vic, and I don't remember who the other one was, but he's number 3 on the list. So, I mean, that's what made him what he is. Am I worried that he's 34 and running? No, he doesn't have a history of getting hurt. 2 years ago, the hand injury was a fluke. Last year, I think a lot of it was contributed to the weight that he was carrying. He's never carried that kind of weight. We also won. We solidified our 3rd down running back. Where I think we lost a couple things. One, we lost Jalen Virgil, our speed guy, who was fringed to make this roster. And now we have to hear the narrative since we lost this game, and mainly guys that probably won't make the 53. We're still going to hear depth is an issue, depth is a problem, because some of these guys that are on the back end couldn't hold this lead. But all in all, I seen what I needed to from Russ. So yeah, I'll say we and kicking. I think we've got one more game with the kicking. Maher.
Uh-oh. We're getting that rainstorm rolling through the judge's house. Go ahead. The kicking, the Maher.
Yeah. Maher made 2 field goals of 48 and like a 37. No problems with them. I think if he can continue that, he's got strong leg. And so, yeah, I've seen a lot of wins with just a sprinkling of losses, but mostly good things.
Yeah, kind of getting to Albert's point, the thing that I kind of saw, especially from Russ, obviously in for just a short amount of time, but at the same time, that decision-making came in the fact that he didn't see his read 1, he didn't see his read 2, maybe sometimes he didn't see his read 3, but regardless, he was going through his reads and going, nope, opening, I got to go, and making that decision and going. I think in the past, either he was trying to stay in the pocket in order to make sure plays developed, or he was trying to find his plays, here's his players and where they were at in, in the route progression, and he struggled with that at times. The one thing I think I noticed, I think everyone else should have noticed, especially if you kind of recall, that offensive line was splitting open, giving Russ good alleys and lanes for him to either see through or run through. And that's something that we didn't see in weeks past. I don't know if that's an implementation of another portion of Sean Payton's offense, and they were just doing a standard, blocking scheme in that preseason game 1, and now they've kind of switched it up a little bit, and they want to push it a little bit further and see what we can accomplish. Either way, it was working. It was opening up holes both for, like I said, for running lanes and passing lanes, and it was a much improved offensive performance from the line and from Russell Wilson because of that.
And it didn't take 5 seconds.
It didn't take 5 seconds, no. And that's what I'm saying. Not back there holding on to the ball, waiting for something to happen, either your eyes to see it or the route to progress or whatever have you. No, he went through his checks and he was able to either get that ball out or get himself out of harm's way. It was a good performance. I liked what I saw. I know that a lot of people say that that's not a long-term solution for Russell Wilson to be running like that. I might beg to differ. I think could be a season where he can absolutely accomplish that, especially given all the other pieces and parts that are happening in this offense. Just needs to know when to get down and when to get out of bounds. As long as he's doing that, he'll be just fine. So,
see, and I'll agree with that because for 9 years in Seattle, 9, he ran and never got hurt. And you can go to last year and say, well, he ran and got the concussion. If Denver is not at the record they are and this team's not imploding, I don't think you see Russell. If Russell Wilson right there just gives himself up right there, he hears it more. Why didn't you show heart? Why didn't you dive? Why didn't you this? So he laid it on the line. If you're whatever game that was, if you're 10-4 or whatever, right there, I think he slides, makes a smart decision, and he's healthy. He played it all out there because he knew what was. He really didn't have a choice, and it was he knew what he had to do there. Yeah. So that's a little bit different. I have confidence that if the season was going different last year, he slides or makes a different decision right there.
I still say that he did not intend to slide the way he did. It was a slip. It was not what he intended. And yeah, he got lit up. Let's keep in mind that Russell Wilson had an opportunity at 2 careers in major sports. He was drafted by the Colorado Rockies. So him sliding is not the awkward thing that some quarterbacks have an issue doing. Him sliding is something that he's completely used to running the bases. So that baseball slide's right there. Let's get into a few comments, though, guys, because I don't want to get lost and people feel left out. You know what I mean? So Kenny did say, could losing back-to-back weeks, though the way you did, linger, or are there no worries at all? I want to answer this for you because since Albert and Jody have been taking the mic a little bit more, under Hackett, I would have been absolutely concerned about this. This would have been in the mental psyche of this team. Under a Sean Payton-led team, it's not even in the frame of reference. He's not going to allow it. That's not what this is about. We're about evaluating individual performances. We're evaluating what you're doing, and what that score looks like at the end of the day means nothing unless you're the one who maybe failed in your attempt to impede that, right? But as a team, as a whole, no, you're not held accountable to this, and I'm sorry, I just don't think that that's going to be lingering from week to week. It's just the way that Sean Payton runs this team. So, getting on a few more. Roy Osborne jumping in. He says, good evening, Keith, Albert, and Jody. Yes, time will tell, but I'm concerned about both offensive and defensive lines. And you know what? There's reason to have some concern. I'll be honest, the guy I was most excited about, that we brought over in off season was Ben Powers. And the guy that I've seen the least from, especially from a dollar perspective, through 2 preseason games, is Ben Powers. That's a guy that needs to pick up his game, and it absolutely has me concerned. The other thing that continues to concern me is on the defensive side of the ball, we are not getting to the quarterback. We're not pushing the offensive line back. We're not having those moments like a lot of teams had against us where our offensive linemen are in the lap of our quarterback. We don't seem to be able to create much pressure unless we're blitzing, and then we certainly can. But outside of that, it's very difficult for this front 3 and this 3-4 defense to get pressure on the quarterback by themselves. So there is some concern there for me. Albert, I'll jump it over to you. Do you have concerns? And we'll roll it back around to Jody as well on this same topic.
Yeah, I think the O-line looked much better compared to the first game. Mm-hmm. And now that Mike McGlinchey is back, I think it's only going to get better. Ben Powers, yeah, it takes time for them all to gel together. Bowles might not be 100% in it yet as well because of the injury he had. I think it will come because, like last year, one person cannot do it all, and we saw that on the side of minors. There were gaps because certain things didn't work out. Mm-hmm. Offensive line will come together. Depth might be a little bit of a problem. Yeah. And the D-line, we need a little bit of reinforcement on our D-line, and probably we'll see some changes after the 53-man cuts.
Might see some depth added in that position. I agree, buddy. DJ Jones was back, which is really nice to see. I was a little bit concerned with him entering.
Oh, I was pretty surprised.
So to see him back out on the field, I was pretty shocked as well.
I didn't think you'd see him the rest of preseason.
I agree. Jody, I'll let you take it away on that defensive offensive line. Are you going to be concerned there with Roy, or are you going to project him some confidence, make him feel a little bit better, kind of like Albert did? What's your thoughts on this?
I'll start with the O. I'll give some confidence that everyone, for the most part, was doubting Kush, and I think he's probably looked like your best O-lineman so far.
That's my boy.
Which is, I don't know if you can look at that half empty or half full, saying the rest of the line is bad, or he's really improved. I'm going to look at it half full.
Okay, there you go, Clayton. Roy. I'm sorry. Roy.
I'm also going to go with the notion that O-line, it's the longest to gel together.
That's fair.
Bowles has been playing sparingly, coming back. Powers is learning. Powers in a new, wasn't here last year. Mm-hmm. McGlinchey's been out. But I will agree that Ben Powers is probably like the worst of all of the linemen, and it is something that needs to improve in the next 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
D-line, it was a concern for me, especially with Purcell's not being around at all, but two guys, yeah. I would love to know what it is. I have heard nothing on it.
I know, man. Talk about quiet.
But two guys that have really
Two guys that are really. He keeps you in suspense.
Yeah, for me, two
guys that are really. Yeah. Two guys that are really. He's back.
Matt Henningsen and Elijah Garcia. Elijah Garcia has been getting a lot of pressure. Matt Henningsen with the tip pass where Elijah intercepted it. Those are two guys I think that have now solidified themselves as more than just backup guys. They're going to be rotational on the line. Zach Allen has shown that if you were worried that we lost Draymond Jones, I think that's enough. If pass rush is a wash there, he is much better in the run. So I will say that, to be honest, is an upgrade. We know what we're going to get from DJ Jones. And I've been really surprised with Jonathan Harris. He was the guy that at the beginning of this camp I thought was going to be cut. I didn't think he was going to make the roster.
Yeah.
And now he's probably
That's fair.
solidified himself as a starter on this D line. So a spot that going into camp with Purcell's being injured, I thought was a concern. Now is really not. It's one of the strengths, I think, on this team.
Wow. There you go, man. I thought I had a little bit of concern. Roy thought he had a little concern. No concern from Jody, and a little bit of lick of optimism from Albert, man. So I like the way your guys' heads are at, man. I like that you're feeling good about some of those guys, like Henningsen, a guy that we brought in obviously last year. We need guys like that to be able to step up in year 2 and fill holes and fill voids. You know, Elijah Garcia, 100%, I got to be honest, has been playing pretty lights out during this entire preseason. So whether he's been disrupting in the backfield or taking down sacks, or I think he was involved in the interception, if I remember correctly, as well. Henningsen was for sure. So
yeah, he batted the pass and Elijah intercepted it.
Picked it up.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to get to Sis real quick because I want to hit this comment board, and he's absolutely right because he's jumping in here a couple times. The only thing that matters in these games are trying to make the team. Otherwise, they're meaningless. And he comes back and he says the score means nothing. And this is from a guy that had the opportunity to go out there and try to make an NFL football team. He understands what we're talking about. So, Sis, I appreciate you letting us know exactly how it is. That's how we feel. That's how I feel Sean Payton feels. I don't know if that's always the case in every single locker room on every single team. You know, I certainly feel like some of these teams that go out and they put up a 4-0 record, they have done everything and sometimes pull out some deep cuts in their playbook in order to make that happen. You know, those are the teams that you worry about that, hey, that they still end up losing, and they've shown a portion of their playbook and they're running their starters later into the game in order to try to make things happen. Those are the ones that I worry about. A Sean Payton team is not that case. Like I said, Trey Lance, number 3 in the overall pick in the draft, he's going up against guys that might not have a job here with the Denver Broncos in just about a week, gentlemen. So hats off to those guys that are out there and they're playing hard and trying to make that 53, even against that stiff competition, and not worrying about the score. Just doing their job right, you know, just doing their best. So appreciate it, Sis. I'm terrible with names. I believe this is Zorgi. And if that is the case, if you guys know a little bit more, Xorge. And I apologize, I'm not very good at names, but he's saying hello from Phoenix. I'm going to call you Mr. X or Mrs. X, whichever it happens to be. And we appreciate you jumping in and being part of the show tonight. So thank you very much. Jeremy's jumping in, and he wants to know, which veterans do you guys think will be cut? And this is a great segue, Jeremy. I appreciate you jumping in, being part of the conversation tonight, because one of the things that Jody was talking about was he kind of did a little sketch out of his initial 53, and I would imagine there might be 1 or 2 guys that end up getting the axe on his 53. So I'm going to, you know what, this might be a perfect time. We haven't done this in a long time. Welcome, Judge Jody. Trying to let us know and trying to let Jeremy know, are we going to see veterans cut on the 53? You've kind of come up with your initial 53. Maybe you can get to Jeremy's question first on things that you see, and then we can kind of go through your 53 and maybe pick it apart if you don't mind.
Oh, no, I don't know if you want to call him a vet, but I think Alvaro, he's going to be gone.
Okay. He's been around for a few years, so
I don't really have any other big names per se. I know On defense, I had Kareem Jackson getting cut until the PJ Locke injury.
That's true. What are you? Albert has an idea. I don't know why he's trying to mouth it in. Feel free to jump right in over the top, especially when Jody's a little bit locked up. What do you got, Albert?
Well, because some guy had a sliver in his finger because he did some woodworking, and now he's on NFI, and I think that's the reason that they cut him, Mike Purcell.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Mike Purcell, he thinks is a possible cut off of this roster. We just got done talking about, those guys like Elijah Garcia stepping up, guys like Henningsen. Jody, we were trying to fill some time because it looked like you were a little bit frozen there. So please, by all means, continue. Do you think Mike Purcell could be on that cut line? Is he projected in your cut line, Judge?
I think so now. I mean, there's been no news on his injury. And you've had some guys step up. One, Elijah Garcia, two, Matt Henningsen as well. So I would say he's probably the biggest name. I think Kareem Jackson would have been if not for the PJ Locke injury. And I even could see him. I thought he might get cut as well still, but with K'Wan Williams and Riley Moss being hurt, you're going to have to carry some extra cornerbacks to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Jackson is probably safe now. So I'll go Purcell. Purcell's and probably Albert O are my two guys that have been here the longest that I think are going to be gone.
Well, there you go, man. I heard an interesting one. Is there any possibility that JL Skinner doesn't make this 53?
Yeah, I think so. I think he gets put on practice squad.
A lot of hope was there, man. A lot of hope and a lot of a lot of people excited about JL Skinner and what he might be able to bring. We thought that, again, getting back to one of those guys that you thought were maybe out the door. Kareem Jackson is back in the hunt. Not because JL Skinner was able to impress in his short amount of time he was able to have at training camp because he was coming back off an injury, but hasn't looked fantastic, and doesn't look like he's a guy that would get claimed if he didn't make the initial 53.
Yeah, I think either him or Turner Yell, they stash on practice squad.
Skinner is a hard hitter though. Because the tackle that he did make, I would not want to experience that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a downhill guy. He just needs to be a little bit more consistent, a little bit out of position, and could wrap up a little bit better on some of those tackles as well. So, things that when you look at someone like Kareem Jackson, that's not the case. So, I don't know the best way to do this, buddy. I should have a great, fantastic graphic with your 53, but why don't we start going through, Jody, your 53. We can start at the top. Everyone's wondering about quarterback. Do we carry 3? Do we carry 2? What do you have? And who's number 2? That's the other big question if you don't want to go that deep of a cut.
The logical thing would be carry 3 because you can keep the third one on game day and it not count towards the 46.
Yep.
But I'm going with Wilson's track hits, just history of not being injured. I have Wilson and Stidham.
Man, Jody's Storm is just going to kill us, man. I don't know if we'll be able to do this full 53, man.
Let's try this one more.
That's all right. You got Russell, you got Stidham.
Russell and Stidham is my 2 quarterbacks. Although if it was me personally, I would have Ben DiNucci over Stidham.
Yeah, but the 5
Maybe
million
that's the case.
cap, the 5 million cap hit.
But I think Stidham is your backup.
Fair enough, man. Moving on to, I guess, then carrying only 2 quarterbacks, a little bit of a surprise. Last year we did 3 running backs. Is it 3 running backs again this year?
Yeah, I have 3 running backs and a fullback. I have Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, McLaughlin, and Michael Burton at fullback.
So very similar to last year. We also carried Andrew Beck as our fullback last year. Let's keep it on the skill positions. Wide receiver, last year it was 6. Do you have 6 for us this year? And I know there's going to be some shakeups here because last year there was guys on this roster I don't think we're going to see this year. What do you have this year, buddy?
I have 6, and really this is the 6 I had other than I had Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims. Those 3 are locks.
Those are good locks. And while Jody catches up on his stream right there, George is coming in. That's how we say his name. George is saying trade Stidham to Arizona. Their QB situation is horrible. Yeah, they're struggling with Kyler Murray coming back. Toon was looking the best with McCoy struggling so far through preseason. Maybe that's an option. So wide receiver, we got our top 3 that we all know. What's our bottom 3 look like, Jody? And as at the end, do we have 3?
Yeah, I do. I think if Brandon Johnson can stay healthy, I think he's probably your 4th, maybe even your 3rd. Then I have 2 Sean Payton guys in Marquez Callaway and Little Jordan Home.
Very good, man. Makes sense. Obviously, Jalen Virgil gets hurt.
Why?
He was maybe a lock for this as well. And, you look at other – man, I tell you what, I hope Grimes, we'll be able to stash him. I'm telling you guys, he is fantastic. Taylor Grimes, number 13, if you haven't seen a whole lot of him. Saw a bunch of him at training camp. He's been looking good in preseason. Hopefully he can get stashed through there. Kendall Hinton, we'll just see exactly what happens with him. He had a rough game in preseason game too. So where are we going next? Tight ends? I imagine we need to figure out what our tight ends are going to look like, bud.
I have 4 tight ends making it. Austin Troutman, Greg Dulcich, Chris Manhertz, your blocking tight end. And then I have Nate Atkins making it. I think he's looked good in both games. And he's shown he can block and catch, and I think he makes this roster for nothing else, special teams and maybe down on the goal line, him and Manhertz blocking.
An extra tight end compared to last year. Only keeping 3. I know Andrew Beck could obviously be a tight end as well, but last year having 3, flexing it up to 4, we'll have to see exactly how that plays out on the rest of your roster. Offensive tackle, I guess we should go there next. Last year, 4 guys. Is it 4 again?
For tackles, I have Bowles and I have 4. I have Bowles and McGlinchey and Cam Fleming and Isaiah.
Yeah, Isaiah Prince has really stepped up. Albert, I don't know how much you've seen of Isaiah Prince, but for me, that was a guy that really surprised me, especially in this second game. What were your thoughts on Isaiah Prince? Does he deserve that 4th spot on this offensive tackle?
Yeah,
sorry, Albert.
I did not have him on my roster. I had Alex Balsevsky.
Very good.
I think, in my opinion, Alex did a little bit better than Isaiah Prince, especially compared with the first game.
That's fair, buddy. That's fair. It's going to be one of those battles. One of the things that Sean Payton said is there's battles on this offensive line. There's battles at outside linebacker. Maybe you guys are cluing in on one of them right there, is that number 4 tackle could be up in the air. I want to Palzewski or Paznowski or whatever his name is. We'll get it right if he certainly makes the 53 versus oh, geez, now I'm all flustered.
Isaiah
Prince. Thank you, guys. Get me back on trip. Back on track. That could be one of those battles that Sean Payton alluded to. So,
and that might be with the initial cuts, but they might bring in a backup from somewhere else too.
That's very true. Last year, guard looked like this: Dalton Risner, Quinn Miners, Graham Glasgow. It's not going to look like that this year. What do you have for guard this year?
I have Ben Powers, Quinn Miners, and they've both been playing there. I guess I have Kyle Fuller and Luke Wattenberg.
Mm.
So that would be my 9.
Gotcha. Carrying 4 in the guard position. I like what Luke has done. I'll be honest. When it comes to Alex Forsythe, that's not a guy that I've been. Is that who you mentioned? I'm sorry. Alex Forsythe. Is that correct? Did we lose him?
Forsythe, yeah.
Yeah. Alex Forsythe is just a guy that I haven't been impressed with, and it's a guy that I kind of was rooting for a little bit on the bottom side. So, I don't know.
I think they try to stash him on practice squad.
That could be. Albert, are you kind of in agreement there?
Yeah, I here's the thing. I did when they drafted him, I was not happy with it because he didn't fit the scheme with Forsythe. So yeah, so I don't even have him on the roster at all, or maybe on practice squad.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think he's definitely one they try to sneak to practice squad. And I really just went with Kyle Fuller and Wattenberg over Quinn Bailey because they are both can play center and the guard position where Quinn Bailey really can only play guard.
So what do you have sitting at the center position then?
Cushenberry is your starter, and then you can roll with either Kyle Fuller, who has experience with Russ at the center position, and Wattenberg, who
boy, that storm is killing you, buddy. I guess in my he comes in with a growl. Lloyd Cushenberry, it's weird that we carry 4 guards and then 1 center. Is that what you were saying? Or basically Luke Wattenberg being a second center and 3 guards? Or how are you mixing that up? Or did you have that separated out, buddy?
No, I just kind of have them as floaters. If Cush went down, I think you would see Kyle Fuller step in.
Yeah, having a really rough time. Sis is coming in here and saying money plays a huge part on who gets cut. And in most situations, I would 100% agree with that. The thing that I feel like maybe is not the case is just Sean Payton. Here's a guy that said, it doesn't matter how you get here. It's all about what you do once you get in that room and you get on that field. It's one of the reasons I don't know if Stidham's just safe. I know that it's a cap hit, but it's a small cap hit in the scheme of things, and you put it on the books this year and you eat it and you move on. And if you need to, you need to, and you could have DiNucci as your number 2. So that's one.
I mean, if we're worried about a cap hit on, I mean, if we're going to eat Russell Wilson's contract if he plays or doesn't live up to expectations, then there should be no problem cutting Stidham's whatever it is, $5 million.
Yeah. All right. I know that we were having a little bit of issues on center, and you were telling me, and I'm hoping this is not the case in the terms that I normally think about it, but that we have a bunch of floaters on our team. But floaters for me are something that swirls in the porcelain bowl. So hopefully they're not like that. Hopefully they're playing top notch. But either way, I think we're actually pretty good when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. I'm hoping that Jody is still with us because he's kind of got that off to the side look.
Okay.
Let's switch over to the defensive side of things and start breaking this down. We'll try to get through this before the end of our show. Again, thanks everyone for kind of sticking with Jody and his lightning and thunder and pouring rainstorm that he's experiencing in his portion of the world, which just happens to be Colorado. And I'm telling you, Jody, man, you're jumping terrible. I don't know if we're going to be able to get you at all. Let's see. Let's give it a shot, though. Jody, let's start right on the defensive line and tell me what you're thinking when it comes to nose tackle defensive ends.
I have 6 on the D line. I have your 3 starters: DJ Jones, Zach Allen, Jonathan Harris, and then my 3 backups are Matt Henningsen, Elijah Garcia, and Tyler Lancaster.
Any consideration for PJ Mustafer?
No, not really. I think that the 6th spot, Tyler Lancaster, could be up for grabs depending on who gets released and different things.
Gotcha. So
But
you're
currently
thinking
what's on the
Tyler
roster.
Lancaster is not safe even at that 6
Currently, what's
position.
on the roster, I'll go with those 6.
Fair enough. Any dispute on that, Albert? Any name that you'd like to supplant there?
No, I'm okay with this.
All right, very good. Let's switch over to that outside linebacker, man. It's in a full room and could get fuller because we haven't seen all the talent on the field. What do you got for our starting on the 53 outside linebackers?
I have 5 initially making it. I have Randy Gregory, Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito, Frank Clark, and I'm probably go with Aaron Patrick right now, and I'm going to start Baron Browning's going to start the season on PUP.
Gotcha. I was wondering. I was like, wow. I thought you were going to miss out on Baron Browning there for a second. I was like, oh, it gets kicked to the curb. I can't disagree with your 6, man. I don't know if Albert, if you have any thoughts on that, but I'm gonna stay in alignment there, buddy. Maybe not, Albert.
Me too.
All right, very good.
I was on mute.
Sorry, and I'm looking at another screen, so I didn't see your face. So, I guess it goes right into inside linebacker. Then, give it to us, buddy.
I have 4 there. Julian Singleton, the starters, Drew Sanders, and Justin Sternod, and I think he's one that could get replaced on depending on who gets cut.
I agree. I'll be right there with you. As much as I like Sternod, seems like he's been tailing off, and could be certainly replaceable.
Had Jonas Griffith not got hurt, I think your 4 were pretty well set. But
yeah, gosh, that kills me, guys. If you ever have the opportunity, and I, from what I understand, heck, reach out to Jonas Griffith. From what I understand, he's taken this injury a little bit hard, and he's the best guy in the world, man. Any guy that not only stops his car to say hello to fans, but then asks their name and reaches out and wants to shake their hand. Stand-up guy, man. I really like Jonas Griffith. Stay strong, Jonas. There's still a spot for you, man, especially with a heart like yours. So stick with it, buddy.
Same goes for Tim Patrick.
Yes. Agreed. Great guy from all accounts. Haven't had the chance to necessarily interact with him like I have Jonas, but man, stick with it and stay strong, buddy. So, switching off the injuries, we'll go to inside linebacker. We got inside linebacker. We're going to switch over to cornerback and round out with safety to get this defense all figured out. What do you have at cornerback there, Judge?
this is probably the hardest one for me, but I'm going to go PS2, Davari Mathis, K1 Williams. Those are your starters. I'm going to go with Sing Basby if K1 Williams is not able to go week 1 or week 2 as your slot guy. That's 4. I'm going to go
Lots of deep thought, man.
as the 5th cornerback, and 6, I'm going to go. You're going to have to carry 6 with 2 guys in question, K1 Williams and Riley Moss with Fabian Monroe. And I think this is the position that after cuts come, because you can't start the season with, 2 of your 6 cornerbacks to hurt.
With a few breakouts that we did have, run quickly through your 6 again, just so that we have them.
PS2, Davari Mathis, K1 Williams, Riley Moss, Sam Basby, and Fabian Monroe. With the waiver wire getting looked at very hard, because I can see K1 Williams, Riley Moss for sure, and maybe K1 Williams not ready week 1. So that leaves you short there, 4 corners. I can see them looking for somebody there. So
looking for a little experience out there on the market, maybe. What are your thoughts on that, Albert? Are you in agreement with those 6? Anybody you want to flex in or out?
Turner Yell is safety, right?
Correct.
Attorney Yell. Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So no, then I'm good. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
what I would do.
It'll be interesting. The one guy I really wanted to see in training camp much of, um, and one guy that hasn't got a whole lot of play. I did play in the preseason game too. Was Art Green. Art Green came in with a little bit of hype coming right out of the draft, or right off of the draft, and coming in as that, I believe, unrestricted free agent. And a lot of people were kind of excited, but hasn't necessarily developed. Maybe he makes that this squad and is someone that can develop, because I tell you, the guy's from a physical characteristic standpoint, he's got all the right pieces, all the right parts. So be interesting to see where he lands, at least from my perspective. Let's go over to that safety position, Jody, though, and round out the defense.
I'll add one thing. If they decide to put Riley Moss on short-term PUP, I think Jawan McMillan has a chance making this team as well. And
If Jawan
I don't know
McMillan makes this team, I just want to say really quick, if Jawan McMillan makes this team, then I definitely want to scour the free agents and the cut.
And I think they're scouring that position, especially because I almost am leaning towards they put Riley Moss on short term. He has done nothing this offseason. He hasn't played. It's core surgery. I don't think you want to rush him back.
It's fair.
At
That's
safety,
fair. Wow.
then I'll go with 4. I'll go Justin Simmons and Kane Stearns as your starter. I'll go Kareem Jackson and probably Turner Yell right. I'm going to lean just a hair Turner Yell over JL Skinner. I think they'll try to stash him on the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think PJ Locke starts the season on PUP. When he comes back, I think he takes Turner Yell's spot. And I would say that's probably Denver's deepest position, safety.
Yeah, I would say right up there with that outside linebacker position, you'd have a strong argument there as well, especially once you get Baron Browning coming back off of whatever injury status he comes back, whether that's PUP or just straight to the roster. So, pretty.
And that's one thing
there.
for me with Jonathan Cooper, especially. The way he's been balling out and looking, I don't think you need to rush Baron Browning back just to get someone on the field. I think let him get 100% and let Jonathan Cooper keep doing what he's doing, because really he's looked probably, if not your best, right up there with Randy Greger's your best pass rusher. So,
just really quick, Kenny was just jumping in saying Fabian Moreau may be in trouble. Speaking of that corner position, he is older, and I don't see him contributing much on special teams. Good point there as well. So that corner position could, like you said, could be interesting as we try to shop talent in and out of those bottom roster spots or those bottom spots. So
that's the position that has me the most worried, because K'Wan Williams is hurt, and they're saying he's getting a second opinion on that foot. They say they want him ready by week 1, and then Riley Moss, he's done nothing to get ready. So,
ooh.
I mean, that's 2 guys that were going to make this 53 that now aren't, and now you're going to 3rd and 4th string guys to come up and play.
Yeah, that's fair, man. And it's a place that I thought we were really going to have some depth. Quite honestly, it's kind of dwindled away with some of those injuries. So, Albert, I know that you were trying to jump in. Go right ahead. What do you got for us, bud?
And don't forget the Drew Sanders. He might be an outside linebacker in incognito, because I think he might get a role just like Baron Browning had a couple seasons ago.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's got that flow to the ball like nobody's business. He's certainly got the speed. I like him at the linebacker position just because I don't know if he ever had to put his hand down in the dirt exactly how that would translate. Might be a little bit interesting to see. But guy's got talent. He can certainly seek it out, and it'll be interesting to see that develop. Kenny was wondering if we had a little bit of time. He wanted one question completely off the 53. By the way, Judge, fantastic job on the 53, man. I can't see too many disagreements up and down, at least from my perspective. Though Sean Payton might have some disagreements because, like I said, he says their offensive line, outside linebacker, noted those two positions in particular, where there's still a lot of possibilities of guys fighting for those final positions in those position groups. So
my
it'd be
only other
interesting to
one
exactly
is
see.
what do you? I think right now I'm going to lean Marha as your opening day kicker. I don't really. I mean, reports out today were Will Lutz. I mean, he's got ties to Payton from New Orleans if he doesn't win that job in New Orleans. So, but I think they want to give this every opportunity to Marha. They reached the injury settlement with the other kicker. I can't think his name.
Fry.
They reached that today. So, I mean, I think that if he has a good game coming up, I think he's locked in as your kicker.
Very good, buddy.
And Riley,
your internet's killing us, I'll be honest, just a little bit. So.
And Riley Dixon is your punter.
Just like Albert thought, too. Riley Dixon. All right.
And who's going to be a long snapper?
I'm going to mute you out for just a second there, Jody, because you were killing me, bud. Kenny has this one question, and he says if we have time, I think we have a little bit of time. He says, Jonathan Taylor was granted permission to seek the trade. If you're the Broncos, would you do it if the price was right, both cap and picks / players? Are you interested, basically, for the right price in Jonathan Taylor? I'll go with Albert first, man.
Right now we have Pookie, Pirine, and McLaughlin. I think those three are going to be a dynamic trio. And have Jonathan Taylor there. Who are you going to take out? I definitely don't want to see Pookie go and McLaughlin, so it would be Pirine. I think we are very good on running back. I don't think so. I wouldn't do it.
Would be interesting. We're talking about rushing leader, I believe. And now I'm having a little bit of issues on my internet end. Hopefully you guys can still hear me, but I'm back. Sorry about all the internet issues tonight, guys. So it's on my side of things. It seems like, but Jonathan Taylor, one of the top leading rushers in all of football. I'm going to give this a try, guys. Jonathan, like I said, Jonathan Taylor, top leading rusher of all of football. Would you be interested in bringing him over, Jody?
No, and I have a couple reasons for that. One, you're going to have to sign it. He wants a deal, so you're going to have to pay him right away. And that's going to cost you money. I want to see what Javonte Williams can do. I mean, he's really worked his you-know-what off to get back and made this incredible recovery. And what does that send to the locker room if he's part of this trade that I've heard lately? So, no, I mean, as much as I would like to have him, and I think he's probably an upgrade over what we have, for some other reasons, I say no. One, the morale of the kind of work that Javonte Williams put into get back the way he did, and you've got to pay. You're going to have to pay him and pay him. You can't trade for him and not have a deal in place and have to pay him. So for those two reasons, I say no.
Is he really that good? Because in his 22 stats are 192 carries, 861 yards, 4 touchdowns at an average of 4.5 per per carry. I
And
don't think that.
and he was injured last year, so I will give him that. I think I want to. Let me see if I can right there.
Did you? If
If you look at 2021, I think 2021 he led the NFL in rushing.
that is 2 years ago. In 21,
Last
22.
year, right? And last year I know he was injured, so I know that was
And
part of it.
and the year before, I don't think it was that remarkable. We had
he was fantastic.
in 22.
No,
Oh, no.
in 21. In
Yeah, in
2022 he was injured. Oh, and now we're in 2023.
No, we had in 24 season.
23-24 season. 21 is when he had his best season, though.
Yeah,
The
but
twen-
in 22 he had 192 carries, 861, 4 tutties, and 4.5 yards per carry. I don't think that is that great.
What
I
year
mean,
was that?
that was last year, and he was injured.
Yeah,
Now
that was
I'm
his
going
injured
back
year.
to 2021. Colts had a great line and probably top 2 guard in Quentin Nelson, but 1,811 yards, 18 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not arguing that he's better than what's on our roster now. My big thing is the one, you're gonna have to pay him,
Yeah.
and two, what kind of message does that send to your locker room that Javonte Williams did all this work to come back and you just traded him?
Sure. It tells you you're in the business of winning football games.
What?
Is what it tells me.
What's he worth?
What's who worth?
What are you giving up to get him?
Obviously I put Javonte on the block right to begin with because
that's what I've seen. Javonte for Jonathan Taylor in the 3. That's the one I seen today.
Okay, yeah.
Do you make that trade?
Probably a little bit lower. Hey, this is a guy that's a proven commodity in the league. You want to talk about stats? Well, let's start reading off Javonte's stats. How many fantastic years of production has he had in the NFL?
I mean, I can say the same with Javonte. Almost 1,000 yards his rookie year, splitting carries.
Okay,
and
then
last year injured, so we're in the same position. Really,
has Jonathan Taylor? How many years has Jonathan Taylor been in the league though?
3.
Okay.
Both the same. So, I mean, I'm not arguing that he's better than what's currently on this roster. I have some other I just need to see, after the work that Javonte's put in, I need to see what he can do.
Yeah, the thing I look at, and maybe I'm going to throw Kenny's comment up. He says, "I'm with Keith. You're getting a top 3 running back guys with Sean Payton." I've been hearing it time and time again. What's this offense going to be based around? It's going to be based around running the ball, and you're talking about one of the top in the league, undoubtedly one of the top in the league.
But I've said if Denver was interested in a running back, there was one that set out there that would have cost you nothing up until about 2 weeks ago that they made any kind of effort to go get. So if they were interested in a running back, you could have Dalvin Cook on this roster already. That's why I don't think that they're
Kareem
interested.
Hunt. Or Kareem Hunt. Yeah, but it's the thing. I just looked up I just found the stats. Okay, he was injured last year. He played 11 games of the 17. 2 of the games, he had 161 yards and 147 yards. But on average, if you take those 2 out, then on average, he does about 80 yards a game.
How many 160-yard games has Javonte had? How many 140-yard games has Javonte had? 0.
See, I want a difference.
We're talking about it. You can pick apart that he didn't have good games on other sides, but a guy that can put up a 160-yard game, a 140-yard game, sounds like a guy that's used to sit next to Russell Wilson in Seattle and dictate how that offense was ran. I get it, guys. I've
said
it's
no
tough.
for.
We all love Javonte.
I'm saying no for different reasons. and it's not numbers wise. It's not that he's not better. It's I
That's why you want to have value in the card.
I I heard someone today on the radio, and they made a pretty compelling point that, and I don't know how much this really means, but just morale in the locker room. You have someone that put that kind of work in off of that injury to come back, and now you're going to trade him for somebody who is better. Is he light years better? We don't know that yet because we don't know what Javonte is. So
Okay.
and it's a morale thing. And if you ask me this same question next year and Javonte's put up 1,000 yards and Taylor's putting up 1,800 again, then I'll sing a different tune. But
It's too late at that point. That's the problem with that scenario, bud. You got to take the opportunity while the iron's hot, and you gotta grab it, and sometimes you got to run with it, and you gotta take those chances. And I think it might be worth the chance if I'm Kenny, and I'm putting up this idea and that thought as well. I know it's tough. I know that we love Javonte the whole 9 yards.
now I'll throw this out too.
I'm gonna throw this out. Are you bringing back Jonas Griffith and Tim Patrick next year because they're going to work really hard this offseason, and they're going to put a ton of work, and those teammates are going to see them putting in that work as they're going in there and they're rehabbing too. Do you?
No, but I have no for a different reason.
Okay.
One, it's been 2 years that they're going to be out. So that's my main reason with Tim Patrick.
Okay.
But
Good
I
guy.
lost my train.
Hard.
But I will throw out how did everyone think when Clinton Portis coming off a back-to-back 1,500-yard rushing season was traded for Champ Bailey? What did everyone think about that?
I was devastated.
And
I
it turned
was
out that you got
devastated.
probably a top 5 of all-time cornerback, and
Correct.
Clinton Portis faded out, although he did have a couple great years in Washington. He
Fantastic years.
didn't. I think everyone knows who won that trade in the end.
Guy that was like less than 50 yards short of 10,000 yards in his overall career. He was overshadowed in Washington because unfortunately he played in Washington.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was devastated. We had been looking for that running back, and I thought we'd finally found the running back to sit along Elway, and then we traded him away for a defensive guy.
I mean, I'll go.
Little did I know that we would get Terrell Davis right back in the door and everything would be fine, but that worked out pretty well for us.
After this conversation, I really need to think about that some more because it is an interesting topic. If they just are going to give him away for Javonte, I really might. I need to really sit and can think about it a little more.
Yeah, Kenny's jumping in and kind of reiterating my comment earlier. He says it's hard when you fall in love with a player, but it's the NFL is a business, and Jonathan Taylor in Denver could get you back to 15 to 18 touchdowns in a run-heavy defense or offense. I'm sorry, run-heavy defense. It's just coming in and saying it's official. Kenny's no longer a Giants fan. Unfortunately, sorry to see you go. And getting the laugh as well. Ha ha ha, sis. So
for the Giants fans out there, would you trade Barkley for Jonathan Taylor?
That's a good question. Now, Barkley has a little bit more years of experience, so that is a little bit more, I guess you could say, offset. And Sis has already given you the big answer. No way. So, not
because if we're just looking at stats, I mean, Barkley doesn't have an 1,800-yard, 18-touchdown season.
Yeah. When you look at, I think, the tenure of what Saquon has done and what he's already solidified, I mean, let's face it, he kept that team afloat when they were trying to figure out quarterback. Just something that we haven't seen, certainly Javonte do at this point. Man, we got way out. Kenny took us way off track. Way off track, man. We went down the whole
rabbit hole.
The whole Jonathan Taylor. Man, it was like being back in the days of the old Oh, geez, you were just talking about him. Running back that was a former Viking, went to the Jets. Forgot his name.
Oh, Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook. It's like all right there. Kenny's coming in saying, sorry. Don't worry about it, Kenny. I appreciate it, man. Always love all of our fantastic friends and commenters, and never have to.
That's why I
never,
don't think
ever-
that it's really it's not really on Denver's mind, because there was a top 10 running back out there for months and they never did anything.
I agree. I don't think this is on the radar. It was a question from one of our fantastic fans, and it's one that's hey, let's stretch the mind. Would you consider? Would it be better? Is that an opportunity?
If they threw in a draft pick and it was Javonte for Taylor and a draft pick, I'm really considering it, because you need draft picks, and like one guy keeps telling me the cap doesn't mean anything anymore here, because
the cap doesn't mean anything anymore because you can just go out in free agency and pick up guys that you want and do trades and stuff like that. I will tell you that the big thing that is important, it is important that you're able to get some cheap talent on your roster that can produce. And if you don't think that's the case, just look at the Rams and the rise and the fall that they had. You can't do it all through free agency. You can't say F them picks, as they said, and just try to chase a championship and expect anything to be long-term. You can do it in the short term, but it's really tough to elongate that out when you're chasing free agency year after year. Eventually, you're going to get caught paying a guy that you overpaid for in order to try to fix a problem. So
now, if I'm the Rams, I'll 10 out of 10 times do what I did to get a ring. So,
I heard this question, and maybe we could wrap it up with this. Get on out of here because we are a little bit late. Would you trade, and we'll start off with Albert. You get one Super Bowl, but you don't make the playoffs for the next 20 years, or you're a contender every year, winning multiple AFC West and AFC Division championships, but you never win a Super Bowl in 20 years. Which do you pick?
The second one, because you want to keep your fans in the stadium. Yeah, you want, even if you don't make the playoffs, if you are in the playoffs for 20 years in a row, you don't make the Super Bowl, guess what? Your fans keep hoping. But if they have one Super Bowl and you're guaranteed you're not going to have anyone for the next 20 years, who is going to disappear?
Ask Jet fans. Jody, what's your thoughts?
if you wouldn't have said 20 years, I probably would have leaned option A, but 20 years is a long time. And just like Albert said, you can lose a lot of fans in 20 years, and a perfect look at the Rockies. That's a great example. So, but would
a Rockies fan take a World Series next year if they knew the next 19 would go right back to where they've been?
Yeah, but they're used to, they've went through the losing. This team has a Broncos fan, you from the 80s into you didn't experience it very often.
No.
This is from the time Elway was drafted to now. When did you really you had a little lows when Elway retired and some stuff, and the couple Josh McDaniel era, but when have you experienced 6 years of you're at the bottom? You were trash for 6 years. You were one of the worst.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even close.
How many disgruntled fans do we already have now for the last 5 years?
When have you ever heard them multiple times bring up 20,000 no-shows, 25,000 no-shows? And that's a topic of how many no-shows are we going to never had that. It was sold. They're still selling out. But the stadium was full.
Packed.
And you can talk to lots of people that go in there and they can say sold out, but the stadium wasn't full.
No. Kenny just jumping in and saying, kind of commenting a little bit earlier, he wouldn't give up on Barkley if for Taylor because he feels that Barkley is their offense, not Daniel Jones. Broncos trade for Taylor, and he could be your offense. Yeah, a lot of questions on, maybe the future of Russell Wilson if this doesn't go quite right. So I'll give you that. He says also, being a Giants fan, give me one Super Bowl. We don't know where we'll be tomorrow, nevermore. 20 years from now. Maybe years. 20 years from now. Yeah.
The only reason that I think that some people look at that different is, like, as a Giants fan, when you stopped winning, when was the last time they won it? Like in 88, 87?
No, they beat Tom Brady.
Oh, they did. But I mean, they went from then all the way to Eli era, and they were really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Denver's really never went through a long period really like that.
Yeah.
And to experience it for the first time, it's like we were always in contention, and we were always there.
Mm-hmm.
And these last 6 years has just made it where you don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't want to feel like you had 20 years of anything like the last 6 in front of you. And I can understand that. Like I said, on the other side of things, and I was kind of poking fun, but then there's the Jets. It's been since Joe Namath, took the field and won them the Super Bowl. So they're thinking, yeah, just give me one. Just give me one. It's been way too long. I've played more than 20 years.
When you see him flash stats, and I don't remember what it did for the past 10, 12 years, who has the most playoff wins, and Denver is still in the top 10, and they haven't been in the playoffs in 6 years, that tells you really all you used to dominate and win when we were good.
Absolutely. Sis coming in there and saying 1969, that was the year. Yep. Called his shot. Namath one goes out there, wins it all. Amazing. And then a great Michael Ryan Keogh jumping in here late as we're about ready to jump out and saying go Broncos. So thank you very much, Michael, for joining the show. Always a pleasure to have you in the chat. So.
And then I want to answer Kenny's question.
All right.
I am an evening person.
He is a bigger fan of the PM. Quick hitter question for Dutchie. So now, from what I understand, there's going to be maybe a follow-up. So, got another fan coming in. Oh, Michelle Knopper's coming in the last 3 years. We've really built a team, literally from the ground up, from owners to coaches to QB. This will be an amazing year. Thank you. I love that, man.
I have a question off of that. Are you, as a Bronco fan, are you pissed off that we've never admitted that we are in a rebuild, true rebuild, and we've went out and got these journeyman quarterbacks, Joe Flacco, Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, and we haven't admitted that we need to draft a quarterback and develop him?
Well, we've never admitted a rebuild because we've never actually went full on rebuild, in my opinion. We've never just imploded this team and said, all right, just cut.
Should we have done that after Lynch, Paxton Lynch?
We probably should have done it multiple times in the last few years. You know what I mean? It just, quite honestly, there's probably a potential for that happening even next year. I don't think that Sean Payton looks at this roster and says, perfect. We're all set to go for the next 5 years. Got all our guys in place. I think there's a lot of in the process churning of personnel, and that's all we've been constantly doing. We've just never hit that wall where we just went, okay, done. Implode the whole thing, restart. But yeah, I think there has been some times that we.
Now I can't say rebuild when you have probably a Hall of Fame quarterback in Russell Wilson and the Hall of Fame coach in Sean Payton.
Correct. Now, like I said, right now I think, and honestly, guys, if you really want to look at the contract, we're stuck with probably both those guys for as long as Sean Payton wants to be here and Russell Wilson, for that matter, through his contract. It's going to be really tough to move on, even if he does have a terrible year. It's even without all the guaranteed money. I don't want to take $80 million cap hit. over 2 years, be $40 million backwards in the books, and let the likes of guys like Justin Simmons and PS2 maybe walk out the door just in order to try to make your team competitive. We're married to this for a while. Our rebuild happened when as soon as Russell walked in the door and Hackett walked out, that was kind of our rebuild. I know that's a long period of time in between, but that's about where our rebuild happened. Those two guys, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, welcoming back in the door. Let's face it, if you were any other team 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and you said, we're going to bring in Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, sounds like we're in the middle of a rebuild. We're trying to make something happen. You know what I mean? So
I wouldn't call it a rebuild. I would call it a reform. Instead of a losing organization, we are now back into a winning atmosphere. Sean Payton is taking a new atmosphere, bringing a new atmosphere in the building, and I think that is what is going on. It's not a rebuild; it's a reform.
I'm going to get one last question because the great Michael Ronquillo is asking it here. I'm going to throw it over to Albert first, and he's asking, Albert, will GM George Payton be part of the future will be part of the future with the Broncos? Do you see him beyond this year?
I definitely do, because he is one of the better scouting coaches that we had. We had some really good successes, even with some undrafted kids. I think George Payton will be here, and the cooperation with Sean Payton and him, I think there's mutual respect towards each other, and I think they're working really nice together.
I like it. There's been a lot of question about this. Jody, do you have a thought on this?
I think two guys will answer that for him. Russell Wilson and Randy Gregory. One guy that you gave up the farm for and paid a lot, and one guy you paid a lot with injury history that after 1 year have done really nothing. I expect big years from both, but if both of those flame out, I think George Payton goes along with them.
What does their average grade have to be together?
Together, I don't know, but I need.
I mean, can Russell pull off an A and
No.
Gregory pull off an F and George Payton be safe, or vice versa?
Nah, the first scenario maybe if Russ takes you deep in the playoffs. I need to see Randy Gregory play 13 games this year, a minimum of 13.
That would be nice.
And then I need Russ to have 20. I want a year around like 2019 where he had 31 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, right at 4,000 yards. That's what I need to see.
Be beautiful. I'd take that. I think everyone would. Go ahead, Albert.
And here's the thing with Randy Gregory, there is no. It was a really good deal from George, because it is only a 2-year contract. In fact, if it doesn't pan out, they can step away from Randy Gregory, and it is done. So the decision is, you take a better pass rusher, but you only are pretty much set only for 2 years. So I think that is also in the benefit of Patton.
My problem with Randy Gregory was you could have paid a little more and probably brought Von Miller back. You could have went out and got
Von Miller has been injured quite a bit too the last 2 years.
Who do I want to say? The guy from his name's escaping me. You could have went. There was like a couple other pass rushers you could have went and got at a much cheaper. It wasn't even a money thing. It was a money tied to the health thing. He had never warranted that kind of money, or with he staying on the field.
Yeah. I was distracted by the comment because this is coming in saying, good luck with that, repeating that 2019 season. I agree, man. 30-some touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 4,000
Well,
yards.
I can tell you I've called that I think that he will be 30-plus touchdowns and 4,000 yards.
Okay.
I mean, that's 100 and I don't remember. I said 4. I'll get the calculator out because I don't remember off the top. 4,000.
You do your calculations. I'm going to
That's
fill in for a
200
second because
That's 235 pass yards a game. I think he easily should get that, or he should be able to get that, and that's 2 touchdowns. That's less than 2 touchdowns a game.
And
Yep.
last year he had over 3,500 passing yards,
Missing
that
2
was-
games.
missing 2 games, and 55 sacks. If they make it only 35 sacks, that is 20 more attempts. And guess what? If you get 10, 15 yards per attempt, you're close to the 4,000 yards.
Now, I will say I don't so much. 4 quarterbacks last year threw for 30 touchdowns, so I'm not. It doesn't have to be. He has to have 40 or 30 touchdowns. What I more want to see is what. Well, I agree with that, but more what I want to see is on third down, you're 10 for 15 or 10 for 14 on third down, and you're 68, 69% completion. And you're moving the ball. And if at the end of the year, Javonte Williams and P-Ryan have 25 touchdowns combined, I'm okay with that. So,
and Russ maybe 5 or 6 with his legs.
right.
All right, guys. Guess what? We had one of those extra long shows. So, Albert, you get the long goodbye. Jody, you get the short one. And I got my finger on the button to do the wrap up of the show. I'll just say good evening and thank you to every single one of you that came through and commented. Appreciate you guys a ton. May I'll do this really quick from Michelle to Sis to Kenny to Roy to great Michael Ronquillo. Appreciate everybody out there that's jumped in. Jeremy that was in here earlier. Thank you everybody that made this possible. Do me a favor. Check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Go over to RockyMountainSN.com. Check out Albert's article that's just blowing up the internet. I think we actually might have crashed the internet, killed the internet. What they used to say, blow up the internet. With Albert's fantastic article, got mine up there. Got a lot of things happening over there. Do me a great big favor, guys. If you can, like, share, and subscribe. And also, we're going to make a major push to get onto YouTube. So go over there. Make sure you're following us on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting that bell icon and following on every single one of our shows. We appreciate it so much. Michael Ronquillo just giving us a quick reminder that we have that joint practice with the Rams Wednesday and Thursday this day. That should be lots of fun. Albert, you get the long goodbye. Jody gets the short one. I got my finger on the button to get us out of here.
Okay. Well, it was indeed a very good show. I really always enjoyed the interaction with all of you guys in the comments. And Kenny, I'm glad that we could have lots of fun with Alexander Madison. And yeah, keep it up. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next game, the preseason game on Saturday. I know we will not see any of the first stringers probably, but that's good. Maybe we'll see some more of the third and fourth line, and maybe some undiscovered talents that might jump out. Looking forward to see you all next week, and stay healthy.
Sounds good, buddy. Appreciate it. Nice medium goodbye. Maybe we could also get a medium goodbye then from Jody, since you didn't take up a whole lot of time. Jody, man, say goodnight to all our friends out there. I was just going to throw up on the screen just really quick. Again, Rocky Mountain Sports Network. You can check them out. You can check out Albert's fantastic article. Like I said, don't rush to conclusions. Check it out. Great read. Need to go over there right now. And like I said, check out my article too. If you don't mind, I appreciate it. So, Jody.
That is good too.
Oh, why? Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Jody. Shortish, medium-ish, maybe longish goodbye. Feel free.
Great show as always. Good debate. And I have one thing. Hall of Fame, get your crap together. I'm tired of these guys that should be in the Hall of Fame not getting in. Mike Shanahan, the late Dan Reeves, who now isn't going to get to celebrate it when he gets in. Randy Gradishaw, who played 10 years, never missed a game, who should
Carl
be
Mecklenburg.
guys that should be. The way they're doing it right now is a joke. Get it figured out. Get these guys in. I mean, the guy you put in this year, Buddy Parker, has been deceased for 20 years. Get these guys in and let them, celebrate their success before they pass away.
100%, buddy. I couldn't agree more, man. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Let's not forget Carl Mecklenburg.
And I mentioned Gradishaw. We should know tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Hopefully he, gets that, whatever they call it, the senior nominee.
Yes.
He's long, well overdue. One of the greatest Broncos of all time. So,
yeah, overdue, much needed. In an era that didn't record sacks, he was one of the best. Was part of one of the best defenses in the league, though they got overlooked even in their era with the Orange Crush. Let's get Randy Gradishaw in and start getting some of these guys caught up so we can get to names like Carl Mecklenburg before he also passes. It's just a shame. I 100% agree. Dan Reeves should have received that honor. And I didn't know this, guys. If you get your Hall of Fame jacket and you've already passed, that Hall of Fame jacket doesn't go to anybody. It stays with the Hall of Fame, doesn't go to any family member. There is, literally, I just feel terrible. It's something that you should be able to experience while you're still alive. Let's get these guys caught up. They made a major push for that when it was the 50th year of the league, and they made a push to get more guys in. Let's get these guys get caught up so that we can actually get them in a timely basis. And Kenny's just saying he says writers are voting guys in. There was a guy who held Jeter off his ballot just as a example, and he says it's just a joke.
Yeah, that's an agenda, and like Kenny said, it's a joke. I'm not going to vote for someone because I don't want him to get 100% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer. Just like the clown Mark Jackson that left Joker off his MVP ballot this year. It's like, come on, man.
Exactly. All right, and I was jumping through the comments, but don't forget to visit Willis Seasonings and Blends. They are the best. 100% agree. I was just gonna throw that up real quick. You can head on over to willowseasonings.com. That's willowseasonings.com. Got a special promo code DBR 2023. That's DBR, stands for Denver Bronco Roundup 2023. Get you 15% off. Check out the best seasoning, sauces, and rubs company out there, willowseasonings.com. They just came out with another top 10 finishes with some of their competition. I'll get that information for you guys next week. But I promised, guys, that I was going to have my finger on the out, and we were way overdue. And I know there is a few comments that came in late, guys. We'll maybe respond off the air. But, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Every Tuesday night, Denver Bronco Roundup, brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, sponsored by Willow Seasonings and Blend. We will catch you next week, if not sooner. Thank you so much. Have a great night.